I chased after Qingmei for 7 years. Only after we got married did I find out he had fallen for me at first sight. Yet he still enjoyed every moment of me pursuing him. An accident brought me back to the day I first met Qingmei again. I overheard her mocking Jiyu-chun in front of her childhood friend. An arranged childhood engagement? I'd rather become a nun than marry him. Hearing that, I couldn't help but smirk. This time, I've decided not to chase him. Let him chase me. My best friend beside me tried to persuade her. Sumuksu, don't speak too soon. What if you really fall for your childhood fiancé? Fiancé, huh? Sumuksu immediately shouted. Aren't you tired thinking so much? Fall for him. You think I'm stupid? Impossible. Not in this lifetime. Sumuksu looked toward the airport entrance. Her tone was a bit impatient. Why is that guy still not out yet? Is he dreaming? Meng chuckled. Why not possible? What if Jiyu-chun is super handsome? Wouldn't you like him then? Sumuksu shook her head. He lives in Likhang. They say the UV rays there are intense. Most people have darker skin there. No need to think. That guy must be dark as coal. Handsome, yeah right? Enough about that. Sumuksu nudged her friend's belly with her elbow. Hold the sign up higher. Let's walk around a bit. Song Meng nodded and raised the sign higher. I saw my name written on the sign. My smile grew even brighter. Great, you say you'll never like me, huh? This time, I'm not chasing, unless I pin him down and make him confess in front of all 3 billion students at school that he likes me. I won't give in, so I dragged my suitcase and turned away. After I left, naturally, Sumuksu didn't pick me up. She's an impatient person. Waited 10 minutes and didn't see me. So she went shopping with her bestie instead. I, on the other hand, went to the Su household, just like I remembered. Su's mom was very warm and welcoming. Old Jiyu really raised him well. Look how handsome our little Chun is, so dashing. I responded politely. You're too kind, Annie. You still look so young and full of energy. Su's mom looked at the handsome young man in front of her and liked him from the bottom of her heart. She's a sucker for looks. Such a good-looking young man. She was seeing one for the first time. She'd heard from Su's dad before that he was bringing the daughter's childhood fiancé home to live so they could build their relationship. And she was a little worried. But now, seeing this polite and handsome guy, Su's mom was completely thrilled. Zhao-chun, Zhao went to pick you up. Didn't you see her? Annie will call and ask her to come back. I nodded with a smile. Okay. It's been a long time since I've seen little sister Zhao too. Su's mom went upstairs to the second floor to call Sumuksu. As soon as the call connected, you could hear the sound of the mall in the background and background music from the shops. Su's mom was instantly furious. Sumuksu, I told you to pick up Zhao-chun. What's going on? You went shopping instead. You better explain yourself. Did you even go at all? Actually, Sumuksu did go, but she got impatient waiting. Since she didn't find him anyway, whatever her mom says goes. She didn't feel like arguing. I didn't go. Su's mom silently reminded herself that her daughter is her own flesh and blood. She had to hold back. Hurry up and get back here. Jiyu-chun is already at the house. His school registration is all done. He's in your class. You take him to school tomorrow. Hearing the angry roar of the mama tiger on the phone, Sumuksu sighed helplessly in her heart. Mom is really doing everything she can to make us bond. She's truly exhausting every method. Linjine is the best high school in the capital, and the class he's in is the best one in the whole school. Transferring someone like him straight into class 1. What if he can't keep up? She gave me 1 second of sympathy, then coldly replied the next second, I've got things to do. Find someone else to take him. I'm staying at Su Mengming's place tonight. Not coming back. Bye. She hung up. The old mother nearly ascended to heaven from rage. Unable to drag Sumuksu back, I went downstairs to Su's mom and apologized sincerely. Even helped cover for Sumuksu. Said she had something important. I smiled and said it's no problem, but that one smile shook Su's mom's old motherly heart. She couldn't take it. Oh my, how can a kid be this handsome and so polite too? This kind of other people's child can totally become her own. Then, Su's mom enthusiastically took me to tour my room. As for my clothes, my mom had already packed and delivered them ahead of time. They were quietly waiting in the wardrobe. I picked out a stylish white shirt. Perfect for wearing tomorrow. I gave a mischievous grin. Say you'll never like me, huh? I know all your weak spots, none forgotten. I've already planned out how to mess with this tuner. First, treat him extra sweetly. Then, firmly deny that I like him. Finally, watch his flustered sooner self squirm. The next morning, I woke up bright and early. After washing up, I looked at my ridiculously handsome self in the mirror and flashed a charming smile. There was a knock at the door. Sue's mom gently called from outside, "Zhao Chun. Time to get up. Annie's taking you to school today. Your enrollment is all set." Originally, Sue's mom had planned for Sue Muksu to take me to school, but Sue Muksu ended up staying at her bestie's house last night. I smiled and walked over to open the door. When I learned Sue's mom was taking me to school, I declined. Sue's mom thought I was just shy about making a big scene. So, she didn't push it. She simply had the driver take me close to the school. Half an hour later, the driver dropped me off about 10 meters from the school gate and stopped there. As soon as I got out of the car, the warm smile on my face faded, replaced by a mischievous grin. Let me guess. Where will Sue Muksu be rushing from this morning? I remembered from my past life. When I arrived in the capital, he loved staying over at his bestie's place. And every morning, he'd just barely make it to school on time. He'd most likely come through the alley behind the school. So, without hesitation, I headed straight for the alley behind the school. As I passed by the front gate, some of the students inside stared in awe as I walked past. Some even sneakily took out their phones to snap photos. I heard a camera click and turned my head. Behind me were the female students. One of them had her phone pointed directly at me. Just in time to catch a full shot of my face as I turned. The girl holding the phone was clearly stunned, looking at my handsome face up close. Her cheeks instantly turned bright red as I smiled at her. "Classmate, it's rude to take photos without asking." The moment I smiled at her, she felt like fireworks exploded over her head. Her face flushed completely red. She awkwardly held her phone and apologized. "I'll delete it right away." As I walked off, the two girls looked at each other, their faces full of infatuation. "Which school is that boy from? I'm done for. I want his contact info so badly." Meanwhile, I arrived at the alley where Sue Muksu often passed through and leaned against the wall to wait. The morning air was quite refreshing, just like my mood right now. After waiting for over 20 minutes, I heard hurried footsteps around the corner, along with Song Mengmeng's panting breaths. "Sis Sue, wait for me." The smile at the corner of my mouth deepened. I walked to the corner. Just as expected, I heard Sue Muksu's annoyed voice. "I told you to get up earlier. Now your footsteps are too loud." I struck a perfect pose, counting down in my head, "Here we go." I stepped back slightly. Sue Muksu was chatting with Song Mengmeng while rushing forward. She wasn't looking ahead. As she rounded the corner, she suddenly bumped into something. Then, a soft gasp rang in Sue Muksu's ears. She turned her head sharply, but her body lost balance and fell forward uncontrollably. "Careful." I quickly reached out to catch her. I caught her by the waist just in time. Perfect. Absolutely flawless. What a classic idol drama kind of encounter. Sue Muksu stared blankly at that flawless, 360-degree handsome face. For a moment, completely stunned, she forgot how to react out of sheer shock. I clearly saw the change in her expression, knowing her so well. Tisk. This brat definitely just got love-struck. It was Sue Muksu's first time seeing such a devastatingly handsome guy. Her heart started pounding like crazy. She instinctively swallowed nervously. Song Mengmeng finally caught up to her. Seeing Sue Muksu being held by me, she couldn't help but let out a shriek. Sue Muksu snapped out of it and quickly let go of me. Her pretty face was covered in fine beads of sweat. "Sorry, I didn't mean to." "Thank you." Once she came to, Sue Muksu returned to her usual cold self. Her expression changed incredibly fast. If I hadn't been watching closely, I wouldn't have caught that tiny moment of fluster. I smiled gently and said, "As long as you're not hurt. Just be more careful next time." Leaving behind those soft words, I turned and walked away. Song Mengmeng stood to the side, totally stunned. That guy is so handsome, like, dangerously handsome. Too bad by the time she came back to her senses, I was already gone. "Sis Sue, who was that hottie?" She excitedly shook Sue Muksu's arm. Sue Muksu glanced longingly at my back, wearing a crisp, stylish white shirt, like a gently swaying white flower. It felt like it bloomed right on Sue Muksu's heart. She suddenly panicked. Slowing down her pace, she quietly followed behind me. She kept just enough distance to still see my back. Following along, I pulled out my phone. While fixing my hair, I saw Sue Muksu stubbornly trailing behind me. The smile in my eyes nearly spilled out. So, everything he said before was true. He really did fall for me at first sight. he couldn't help liking me. Even if we lived it all again, it'd be the same. When Sumuksu saw me walking through the gates of Linjong, it felt like fireworks were bursting in her heart. A transfer student. After all, if a guy this good-looking had always been at Linjong, he'd be famous already. Sumuksu licked her lips, the corners of her mouth curling up slightly. She tried hard to hold it in, then quickly walked forward. At the school gate, the security guard held out his hand to stop her and Song Meng from entering. Students, you're late. Write your name in class. In the few minutes they were held up by the guard. Sumuksu had already lost sight of me. She was growing anxious. Suddenly, she found the guard incredibly annoying. Helplessly, she wrote her name in class on the form, then quickly ran inside. Song Meng was just about to sign. When she saw the name Sumuksu had written, she immediately gasped in surprise. On the sheet it read, Class 3, Song Meng. Speechless, she silently cursed at her best friend, with the security guard watching them. Song Meng ended up writing down Sumuksu's name. They were besties after all. Taking the fall for each other was standard. Thanks to the guard's delay, Sumuksu couldn't catch up with me. She returned to class with a cold expression. Her mind involuntarily replayed that dazzling moment in the alley. Her pretty face turned a light shade of pink. Her little heart was racing wildly. If only she'd asked him for his name. Should I have asked for his contact info? But wouldn't that make me look too eager? Ooh, this is so frustrating. Sumuksu collapsed powerlessly onto her desk. Song Meng, who sat in front, suddenly thought of something. She turned around and said to Sumuksu, Sisu, isn't your childhood fiancé transferring to our class today? Sumuksu was already lost in thought. Hearing the words childhood fiancé made her instantly irritated. She frowned and glanced at Meng. I told you, that was just a joke from the elders. I don't take it seriously. So, why are you making a fuss? If you like him so much, you can have him. Wait, Jiu-chun is also transferring today. A sudden thought struck Sumuksu. Linjong isn't easy to get into. Transfer students are extremely rare, only a few per year. And now a guy who looks exactly her type shows up out of nowhere. And her childhood fiancé just so happens to transfer in today too. That's way too coincidental. Sumuksu suddenly remembered the guy's skin tone. She shook her head to dismiss the thought immediately. Just as she spaced out for a few minutes, a few guys in class mustered the courage to bring her breakfast. Seeing that she didn't reject them, they happily ran off like they'd won the lottery. As excited as kids with candy, Sumuksu snapped back to reality and saw several breakfast items on her desk. Her pretty brows arched slightly. Whoever gave this, thanks, but take it back. Seriously, thank you, she said with a cold tone. The boys returned sheepishly to collect their food. Meanwhile, in the teacher's office, our homeroom teacher Han Min was reviewing my academic records. Aside from Chinese, I nearly had perfect scores in every subject, but that was just in an average high school in Laikang. Compared to Linjing, the best in the capital, there was still a noticeable gap. And this was the best class in all of Linjong. Every year, many students from this class got recommended straight into top universities like Xinhua. If it weren't for a personal request from his sister-in-law, he wouldn't have agreed to place this kid in class 1. Not because he looked down on him, but because class 1 moved too fast. I was afraid the kid wouldn't be able to keep up, and it would just ruin his originally decent grades. Mu-chun, I know why you transferred here. But I'm your homeroom teacher. I hope you don't let those personal matters distract you. Right now, your main goal is studying. If in the monthly exam you don't reach the minimum score I expect, no matter who you are, you'll be transferred to the regular class. You don't have a problem with that, right? I know Han Min is strict on the outside, but soft inside. She's super responsible with her students. I nodded with a smile as I responded, thank you, Teacher Han. I'll do my best to rank near the top of the class. After the talk, Han Min brought me to the classroom. I followed her to the familiar class 1 I remembered from before. Just before reaching the door, Han Min stopped. She turned around and looked at my clean, handsome face, opened her mouth hesitantly, then said, later, I'll have someone bring you your school uniform. From now on, wear it while on campus. I smiled and nodded, okay, teacher. That smile was dazzling and radiant. Han Min stiffened her face and added, also don't smile so much. What could I do? Is it my fault for being this handsome? Han Min brought me into the classroom. The students, who had been quietly chatting, went silent the moment they saw me walk in. Instant silence. The room became dead quiet. Sitting in the last row, Sumuksu froze. Her beautiful eyes stared blankly. gazing at me on the podium. Her heart thumped wildly without control, seeing everyone's stunned expressions. Hanmin helplessly clapped her hands. Let me introduce today's transfer student. His name is Ji-Yu-chun. From today on, he'll be part of our class. Ji-Yu-chun, he's Ji-Yu-chun. Sumuksu felt like she'd just been struck on the head. Her mind spun, eyes dazed. He was Ji-Yu-chun, the childhood fiancé. At that moment, Song Mengmeng even leaned back on purpose, acting all flirty with Sumuksu, saying, Muksu, you're still holding to what you just said, right? Is this childhood engagement really good for me? Isn't this just the handsome guy we ran into in the alley? Sumuksu suddenly felt uncomfortable. I'd be willing to let go, but only if someone actually likes you. Song Mengmeng snorted, as long as you don't like him, I'll go after him. Whether I can catch him, that's a different story. Sumuksu felt even more uneasy. She helplessly pushed her away and walked off. Don't bother me while I study. Feeling awkward, he picked up his English book, looking at the words he'd long since memorized, fluently and thoroughly. I was assigned to sit next to Sumuksu, then walked over with my backpack to her side, seeing me become her desk mate. The boys and girls in class didn't know who to envy more. Sumuksu held her English book, eyes straight ahead. Her cold face said loud and clear, strangers, stay away. I sat beside her, glanced once in her direction. Sumuksu looked calm on the surface, but secretly swallowed nervously. The first class was English, taught by Hanmin. He usually taught entirely in English, but thinking I might fall behind, he deliberately translated into Chinese. I quietly took notes, actually paying attention. Soon, the class bell rang. Hanmin said class dismissed and walked out. I turned towards Sumuksu and reached out my hand. Hello. Unlike a typical introduction, my voice carried a natural warmth. Sumuksu knew exactly why. After all, both of them knew the truth. This was her childhood engagement partner. Sumuksu coldly extended her hand, touched the tip of my fingers, and pulled away immediately. On the surface, she was indifferent, but inside, she was screaming. I can't take it. Why is my heart beating so fast? No. I have to control myself. The classmates aren't familiar with me. Though I was shy to greet them directly, they still watch me as instructed, encouraging me to boldly shake hands with Sumuksu. Everyone's heart trembled. No way. Did this handsome guy fall for Sumuksu the moment he arrived? Sumuksu, afraid others would see through him, tensed up his delicate face. His already cold face became dangerously intense, giving off a sharp and intimidating vibe. Everyone assumed Sumuksu was mad. Song Mengmeng thought Sumuksu was losing patience, knowing he disliked the childhood engagement. She muttered about their bad taste while trying to save me. Hello, classmate Ji-Yu-chun. I smiled at the silly and sweet Song Mengmeng and replied, hello. All Song Mengmeng wanted was to rescue me from the fire, afraid Sumuksu would lash out at me. She didn't expect me to smile at her face with such a handsome smile. Song Mengmeng's heart pounded wildly, wishing she could just turn into a mop, rolling all over the floor, not knowing what to say. In a flash, she blurted out the only thing on her mind. I heard you and Sumuksu are childhood fiancés. Sumuksu rolled his eyes at Song Mengmeng, but inside, he was actually quite pleased. The other students who heard her were too shocked to speak. Whoa, this is wild. He's really Sumuksu's childhood fiancé? Oh my god, is this what rich people's happiness looks like? Sumuksu felt an odd sense of nervousness, propped his chin with one hand, revealing his stunning side profile. Intentionally avoiding my gaze, I observed Sumuksu's cold expression, thinking to myself, this little guy is such a good actor. Then I quickly smiled and said, but that's just something our elders joked about. This is modern times. Who even believes in that stuff anymore? I came here to study seriously, to improve myself. That sentence pierced Sumuksu's heart like a cold arrow. His stiff expression collapsed, and he felt a bit hurt inside, but he refused to show weakness. Coldly replied, it's good you think that way. As soon as he said that, Song Mengmeng immediately followed up. That's great then? Sumuksu told me before that he'd never accept his family's arrangements. Sumuksu gave Song Mengmeng a long look, thinking, why do you talk so much? Why can't you just have a mouth that keeps quiet? I witnessed the moment Sumuksu's face collapsed. My eyes almost overflowed with laughter. Honestly, I also don't like being told what to do by family. When Sumuksu heard that, he furrowed his brows and pretended to nap on the desk. But when he saw my charming smile, his heart fluttered wildly, wishing he could just roll on the floor like a puppy. Later on, his bestie Song Mengming chatted with me about other stuff. Eventually, the topic turned to grades. Song Mengming looked concerned. Jiyu-chun, your grades were pretty good before, right? But the exams at Linjan are brutal. Especially here. If you don't get ideal scores, don't get discouraged. If there's anything you don't understand, ask me. Thanks. I handed her a bottle of water. Here, have this. Song Mengmeng happily took the water. Then I won't be polite. By the way, knowing our homeroom teacher, you transferred in midterm. He must have set expectations for your grades, right? What did you tell him? I smiled and nodded, saying, I didn't dare to overpromise. Just said I'd try my best to get into the top 10 of the class. I really did suffer a lot in my past life. But this time around, things won't be so hard. After all, in my last life, I did at least earn a PhDs. Theft Song Mengmeng spat out the water she just drank. A little comically, and although Sumuksu was lying on the desk pretending to sleep, he wasn't actually asleep at all. He overheard our conversation and couldn't help but furrow his brow. Top 10 in the class? Sumuksu had always ranked first in the whole grade. He never really felt pressure before, but he knew just how intense the competition at Linjan was. Throughout the morning classes, Sumuksu saw that I was taking notes. Looking very focused, he pursed his lips, thinking, working this hard, if he still ends up at the bottom, he'll definitely cry about it. So he showed a rare bit of kindness and gave me his past notes, along with key exam materials. I looked at the notebook in surprise and asked, This is? Sumuksu met my smiling eyes. He suddenly felt like I could read him like a book. So he immediately tensed up and said with a straight face, Don't overthink it. My mom told me to help you with your studies. These are all key question types that'll be on the exam. If you don't want people looking down on you, then spend more time studying them. Thanks, I'd already seen through the tsundere. I gave him a dazzling smile, sweet as sugar. That smile stunned Sumuksu for a moment. He awkwardly turned his head away, but the fact that we were childhood fiancés spread like it had grown wings, flying to every corner of the school. Sumuksu came from a good family and was a top student. Not to mention, she was also the school beauty. Basically every guy's dream girl. Now suddenly they found out that she had a childhood fiancé, and he was hot. Some people just couldn't handle it. Lin Haoshin, the school's notorious bully, brought his gang and cornered me in the restroom. When he saw how ridiculously handsome I was, Lin Haoshin couldn't even muster any real jealousy. Damn, we're not even in the same league. Can't even compete. He still growled, You're Jiyu-chan, right? Listen up. I don't care what your family's relationship is with Sumuksu. You'd better stay the hell away from her, or you're gonna be sorry. But I wasn't scared at all. If they knew that since I was a kid, I was too handsome, and my parents worried I'd get bullied, so they made me learn martial arts and stage combat, they probably wouldn't be acting so cocky right now. I gracefully rotated my wrist and said, Classmate, wanna fight? Lin Hao Chan was shocked by my calm and composed attitude. He snorted coldly, What? You actually dare fight me? With those skinny arms and legs? Stop dreaming. As long as you promise to stay away from Sumuksu, I won't bother you anymore. Right as he finished speaking, before Lin Haoshin could even react, I grabbed his collar in one move and slammed him against the wall. Lin Haoshin's mind went blank. His back hitting the wall gave a strangely sour sensation. Even his lackeys were stunned. Because I moved too fast. They were still waiting for me to tremble in fear. But in the blink of an eye, I had already pinned their boss to the wall. Still wearing my handsome smile, I leaned in slowly to Lin Haoshin's ear and whispered, With your rookie-level skills, you think you can fight me? Little rookie, focus on studying and bettering yourself. Otherwise, I'll beat you so bad your mom won't recognize you. Lin Haoshin never imagined I could lift him with one hand. Even the gang behind him looked totally dumbfounded. They didn't even get a chance to react. Crap. They ran into a monster. Lin Haoshin's face turned green. Put me down. He refused to admit he was scared. his eyes still trying to look fierce. "All right," I said, patting his face, with a devilish grin. "What happened today, don't tell anyone." Otherwise, I didn't finish the sentence, but everyone knew what it meant. Lin Haoshin's pride died before he even fought. He was ready to bolt. I wasn't planning to waste time on him. But then something unexpected happened. From outside came Song Mangming's shout, "Holy Shastras T. Sumuksu. That's the boys' bathroom. Oh no, this is bad." If Sumuksu runs in yelling "I love you" and BAM smacks right into the wall, I couldn't let him see that side of my heart. I quickly turned around, grabbed Lin Haoshin's hand and pulled his grip on my collar, then stood on tiptoe, tilting my head up. Sumuksu barged in and saw that exact scene. A sudden wave of anger surged in his chest. Lin Haoshin, let go of him. A classic hero saving the beauty moment. I was moved to tears. Turns out my tsundere really did care about me from the start. Lin Haoshin was so startled he twitched. He immediately let go, losing his grip. I slid down the wall. My legs gave out, nearly collapsing. Sumuksu rushed forward to catch me. "Are you okay?" His voice carried unconscious worry. I shook my head, looking a bit wronged, but stubborn. "I'm fine." Seeing this scene, Lin Haoshin and his whole gang stared at me in stunned disbelief, totally dumbfounded, inwardly all thinking, "What the hell? How can this guy be this asterisk much of a drama queen?" Sumuksu turned around angrily, his gaze toward Lin Haoshin. Was icy enough to kill. This wasn't the first time for Lin Haoshin. Any guy who got close to Sumuksu would get bullied by Lin Haoshin's gang. He didn't like those guys, but he didn't want others getting hurt because of him either. It felt completely unjust. Lin Haoshin wanted to say he hadn't bullied me, but behind Sumuksu's back, I gave him a deadly grin. That smile was dangerous. It gave Lin Haoshin the distinct impression he was about to be castrated. He let out a frightened gasp. Sumuksu said coldly to Lin Haoshin, "I'll deal with you later." Lin Haoshin wanted to explain, but he'd caused too much trouble before, and this time, well, wasn't his goal to teach me a lesson too. Now he didn't even know what to explain anymore. Could it be he didn't realize beforehand? Losing a fight to me would be even more humiliating. "I'll take you back to class," Sumuksu said with a cold face. Don't know if he was kicked by a donkey or what, but he suddenly said, "Don't get the wrong idea. My mom told me to take good care of you." If I didn't know him so well, I might have actually believed that. I obediently nodded. The corners of my lips curled slightly. "But don't worry, I won't misunderstand." Sumuksu was freaking out inside. He realized that when I smiled. He suddenly got nervous, his heart beating like a wild dog on a sugar rush. His face heating up without him even noticing. He let go of my arm, letting me walk on my own. I turned and waved to Lin Haoshin. I wasn't about to feel sorry for him. He was about to get cleaned up by Sumuksu anyway. Serves him right for not focusing on studying, and always thinking about teaching others lessons. Lin Haoshin looked at my back, then turned around and asked his crew in confusion, "Wait, was I just provoked?" All the lackeys nodded in unison. Yep. Sumuksu, Song Mangming, and I walked back to class together. On the way, Song Mangming kindly asked if I'd been bullied or anything like that. I gave a perfect answer, telling them there was nothing to worry about, and also commented on Lin Haoshin's temper, saying he really did need a good lesson, but it didn't seem like I could be the one to give it. Back in class, Sumuksu's face was still tense, annoyed with himself for letting his emotions fluctuate so much. He was someone who'd never gone back on his word. Once he said something, that was it. He'd already made it clear that he wouldn't get too close to any boy. Otherwise, if word got out, he'd be laughed at to death by the whole social circle. Besides, there were plenty of handsome guys. No need to care about some childhood fiancé. He told himself that over and over again, then suddenly felt like someone was watching him. He turned around coldly. I looked at him with a charming smile and said gently, "I don't have a ride. Sumuksu, can we go home together later?" That soft tone of voice. Even I trembled a little inside. I really went all out just to talk to this tsundere. Sumuksu stared at me blankly. Without saying a word, his dark eyes were filled with indifference. Looking at him like this, I really pitied my past self. For those 5 foolish years of chasing him. He put on that cold attitude so well. No wonder I couldn't tell he was love-struck from the start. Seriously, what kind of girl frowns at the guy she falls for at first sight? Sumuksu stayed silent for a long time. I sighed deeply, Time to use the big guns. I used that seductive look I practiced in the mirror all day, and smiled. If it's too much trouble, you don't have to. Sumuksu, who had just mentally prepped himself, was once again completely shaken by my handsome charm. His heart started racing again like mad, and he even looked a bit flustered. Sure, we can go together. Okay, thanks, I beamed at him instantly. Then pulled out my math book and began reviewing seriously, even though I learned it before. It had been long enough that I'd forgotten most of it. Sumuksu was momentarily stunned by my dazzling smile, and question marks filled his head. Why did it feel like I was in total control? Up in the front row, Song Mengmeng had secretly listened to our entire conversation. She pulled out her phone with a grin and started reporting to her Elite Heiress Besties group chat, blowing up the group with gossip, then added another scoop that Sumuksu had agreed to walk me home. Several of them started making bets on when Sumuksu would totally contradict himself. When class ended, Sumuksu had forgotten to mute his phone, so all the ding-ding-ding messages came pouring in. He couldn't take it anymore, and finally opened them. Just one glance, and Sumuksu immediately wanted to punch someone. Face tense, fingers flying across the screen, typing out a string of words quickly. Everything I've said. When have I ever contradicted myself? Don't listen to Song Mengmeng's nonsense. I don't like her, got it? I only take care of her because her grandfather and mine were best friends. All three people in the group replied with a synchronized do to Sumuksu. Infuriating her, she wanted to argue back to save face. The next second, Song Mengmeng invited me to join the group chat. Sumuksu looked up just in time to see me join. Her pupils widened suddenly. Her hand shook, and she sent the message she'd edited. Can you all stop already? Do I look like I'm desperate for a guy? Why should I accept it? If it's arranged by my family, forget it. No way in this lifetime. If I ever fall for her, I'll run a lap around the track naked. Before I joined the group, I couldn't see any of the previous messages, so against the white background, Sumuksu's long message stood out glaringly. And the other three troublemakers in the group deliberately didn't post anything new. Not even a single emoji, dead silent. Which made it seem like Sumuksu was the only one talking. Sumuksu was completely dumbfounded. She swallowed nervously. From the corner of her eye, she saw me at the desk pulling out my phone. Crap, suddenly felt guilty for no reason, and strangely embarrassed. Even a bit panicked deep down. But of course, she wouldn't show it. She straightened up, as if nothing bothered her. I held my phone, carefully going over every word she wrote. That jerk, so you're not lacking guys chasing you, huh? Fine, chill. Let him fall for me so hard he bangs into walls. Then I'll pin him to the wall and rub him back and forth. Sumuksu glanced at me from the corner of her eye, only to see that I wasn't mad at all, and he was even laughing happily. I sent a message in the group saying, "Hello, everyone. Sumuksu, you don't have to worry. I really just came to this life to study hard. Those were just jokes made by the elders. You don't need to take them to heart." Sumuksu is used to joking around with her close friends. She doesn't filter her words. Who knew Song Mengmeng would actually invite me in? However, in front of all her besties, after making such bold remarks, how could he suddenly soften his tone? He just replied coldly, "As long as you understand." I smiled at Sumuksu and carried the conversation from the group into real life. My look seemed to land right in Sumuksu's heart. Looking at my handsome smile, Sumuksu was momentarily stunned. By the time he snapped back to reality, the next class had already begun. I paid attention in class and took notes seriously too. I looked just like someone truly here to study hard. Sumuksu thought. There are plenty of handsome guys in this world. It's not like it's hard to find one she likes, since she already said those things in front of him. She might as well rein in that initial spark of attraction. It's not like she's the type to fall in love like her life depends on it. She just felt a flutter. It's easy to calm that down. Yeah, that's the decision. From now on, we'll just be friends until the school bell rang. The homeroom teacher Han Min saw my serious attitude toward studying and was a bit relieved. I packed my things and got ready to go home. Sumuksu agreed to go home with me today. I curved my lips into a small smile and said, "Let's go home." My handsome smile struck right into Sumuksu's heart. "Why do you have to smile so handsomely?" He awkwardly turned his face away and snapped impatiently, "Hurry up. I don't have the patience to wait for you." Seeing his flushed ears, I showed a satisfied smile. Stubborn fool, someone truly impatient would have left already. Before long, we arrived at the Su family home. Sumuksu's parents are both away on business trips, so only Sumuksu and I were left at home. Of course, along with the housemaid. Besides studying, cooking is what I'm best at. I know all of Sumuksu's preferences, so I decided not to hold back. At this moment, Sumuksu was upstairs playing games with Song Mengmeng. Suddenly, a faint but alluring aroma caught her attention. She sniffed the air. "What smells so good? Did Liu cook something delicious today?" Just then, the opponent surrendered. Sumuksu tossed her phone on the table and got ready to go downstairs to check. It was about mealtime anyway. As she opened the door, that subtle aroma became richer and stronger. Sumuksu couldn't help but take a deep breath. Her eyes lit up. "It smells amazing." Dinner was already set on the dining table. Aunt Liu saw Sumuksu coming downstairs and smiled, saying, "Miss, you're down. I was just about to call you for dinner." With her long legs striding, Sumuksu walked over to the table. All these dishes were things she often ate and forgot. Nothing seemed particularly special, but there was still a delicious smell coming from the kitchen. Sumuksu raised her eyebrows. "Who's cooking in the kitchen?" "Young Master Jiu. He said it was his first time in Jing City, and he's not used to the food here yet, so he cooked himself. The food I made smelled so good. Even I had trouble resisting it myself." While they were talking, I was already walking out with the dishes. I sat across from her and happily began eating the freshly made food. After a while, Sumuksu quietly looked up and saw that all the dishes I cooked were in my own bowl. I was enjoying it thoroughly. I noticed Sumuksu glancing up at me several times. I could barely hold back my smile. Finally, Sumuksu couldn't take it anymore. "Did you only make a portion for yourself?" I looked up. "Aunt Liu said you don't like spicy food, so I didn't make a portion for you. Sumuksu is at home. She really doesn't like spicy food. But dishes that taste good don't include what's in my bowl. It looks delicious at a glance. Bright in color, rich in flavor. Even the aroma drifting out is amazing. How bad could it be?" Miss Su still cares about saving face. When she heard what I said and realized I really only made one portion, she stiffened her face and said, "But I really don't like spicy food." Looking at her clearly contradictory expression, I felt secretly pleased. But the real fun was just beginning. Haha, I couldn't wait to see her embarrassed look. After dinner that night, I purposely picked a problem that looked really hard and went to ask Sumuksu for help. At that moment, Sumuksu was playing games with Song Mengmeng and the others. They ran into pro players today and got totally crushed. Song Mengmeng shouted in the game, "Save me, save me." Just then, I came over and knocked on the door. Sumuksu was frustrated and out of breath. She rushed over, opened the door, and asked, "What is it?" Seeing that expression of hers, I knew she was getting wrecked in the game. So I said, "There's a question I can't solve. I thought maybe you could help me with it." "What kind of problem?" Sumuksu lazily sat on the chair. Her long legs stretched out casually. "This one?" I handed her the problem. She lowered her head and glanced at it. But at that moment, Song Mengmeng's roar came from the game. "Sumuksu's about to die. Where the hell did you go at such a critical moment? Your base is about to fall." Hearing the voice coming from the phone, I smiled and pointed at it. "Am I interrupting something?" Sumuksu glanced at her phone. She waved it off and said, "It's fine. Ignore them. This question is a bit tough. Give me a moment to think." Just then, Song Mengmeng's voice came again. "Sister Su, why did you go AFK? Our base is about to fall." Hearing that, I almost burst out laughing. "How about you think about it for me, while I help you play a bit? You know how to play this game." Sumuksu looked at me curiously. I humbly replied, "Just a little. Back in my past life when Glory just launched, I started playing it. During school, I even earned pocket money by boosting accounts. Purely in terms of skill compared to real pros, I wasn't far behind. Besides, the game is still in its early stages. After playing a few rounds recently, once I got used to the patch, no one could match me. Hearing me say just a little, Sumuksu was wondering how to turn me down. Although lots of people play the game, they were up against a pro team today. Letting just a little player in would only feed the enemy, basically giving free gold to the other side. The 3 girlfriends playing with Sumuksu heard our conversation and collectively fell silent. One of them muttered, "Maybe we should just surrender." Sumuksu looked into my eyes for a few seconds, then said expressionlessly, "If you want to play, go ahead." With his permission, I picked up his phone. I saw that the opponent, godlike, the pro player, was the same guy I beat just a few days ago. Controlling Hanshin, I headed for the base. All my teammates were dead under the tower. The enemy team of 5 was still alive. Though they weren't in great shape, none of them had returned to base. Clearly, they wanted to end it in one push. Just when everyone thought the game was over, I took control of Hanshin and cleared all the minions under the tower. When they saw me charge in, godlike smirked. He turned to his teammates and said, "This one's over." But just as he said that, I used flash and a skill to dive into the middle of all 5 enemies and unleashed my ultimate. In an instant, I killed 2 enemies. They barely had time to react. Godlike was suddenly taken out just like that. After taking out 2, I quickly swapped in Guardian Angel, tanked a round of damage, and killed another one. Then with some slick, flashy footwork, I pulled off a pentakill. It was like the air stood still for a moment. Godlike died hard. Meng and the others were totally stunned, even if the rest of their team wasn't that good. Godlike was still a pro player, and I just 1v5'd them, even played around with them a bit. The rest of my team had already respawned. With my coordination and shot calling, we pushed all the way to their base in under 5 minutes, and pulled off a turnaround victory, turned the losers into winners. Sumuksu didn't expect me to be that good at gaming. After her shock, she couldn't help but compliment me. "You're actually really good at this." I smiled and waved it off. "By the way, did you figure out the question?" "Nope. I got distracted watching you play." "Let me check again." He quickly lowered his head to look at the problem. The question was tough. It was going to take some effort. It was basically competition level difficulty. Afraid I wouldn't understand. Sumuksu wrote the whole process out in detail, to full pages of draft paper. I looked up and gave him a bright smile. "Thanks." And then I turned to leave. After seeing my charming smile, Sumuksu's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Her heart started racing again. Later, lying on her bed, she listened to the voices of Song Meng and the others coming from the computer. "Sister Su, did Jiyu-chan leave?" Sumuksu thought of the handsome smile I gave before leaving, and zoned out a little. Song Meng exclaimed, "Can't believe he's that good at gaming." "Sister Su, tell him tomorrow to help us rank up. 5 players is perfect, no way." Sumuksu didn't want to reject them directly. "Why not?" Song Meng instantly felt like she lost her soulmate. I said no, so it's no. I'm logging off. With that, Sumuksu quit the game and pulled out her competition workbook to do exercises. She studied all the way until midnight. The next day, Sumuksu got up early and was having breakfast downstairs. She didn't see me come down and was about to ask Aunt Liu to call me. Suddenly, she heard footsteps coming down the stairs. She instinctively looked toward the sound. Her heart started pounding wildly. Ew. Why does he look more and more handsome? I sat down across from Sumuksu. "Good morning, little Muksu." She snapped back to reality, realizing she had been staring at me in a daze. She lowered her head and took a big bite of bread. Mumbling, she said, "Morning." I noticed her fluster. I smiled to myself. Already losing composure? I haven't even used my ultimate moves yet. Haven't pampered you into a proud little princess either. I'm kinda looking forward to seeing you caught off guard. Sumuksu didn't wait to leave with me. She purposely avoided me, afraid she'd fall too deep. After finishing breakfast, she left for school. She asked the driver to take me later. She rode her bike alone, but I didn't mind. I figured she was probably trying to create some distance from me, to avoid falling for me. But there's no way I'll let her get her way. I gave a mischievous smile. 20 minutes later, I arrived at the classroom. I took out my Chinese textbook and joined the morning reading, including the morning session. There were 5 periods in total. I spent almost all of them studying. Even during breaks, I stayed with my books. My dedication to studying was borderline scary. Seeing me like that, Sumuksu believed what I had said, that I came to this life Not to build some romantic relationship with her, but to better myself. By the end of the day, I barely exchanged a few words with him all day in class. Sumuksu instantly felt more convinced in her thoughts. He's just focused on studying. He clearly doesn't care about that childhood engagement. Then she shouldn't be stressing over it either. Once she figured that out, Sumuksu felt her heartbeat finally return to its normal pace. She suddenly recalled Yang Yuji's suggestion, since she decided not to fall too deep and couldn't avoid being around him. They might as well just be friends. She would never catch feelings for a friend. Got time after school? I saw you studying all day today. That's gotta be exhausting. You need to relax a little. Why not come play a game with me? What do you think? I read Sumuksu's little mind game and looked at him seriously. My gaze was direct and focused, making it hard for Sumuksu to ignore me. What? You don't want to? If not, then forget it. He stood up, ready to leave. I'll go grab my math book. You're right. Balance is important, but there are some problems I still don't get. Can you teach me after we play? I even picked those problems just for you. Sumuksu didn't expect me to agree so easily. Considering how serious I was about studying, it didn't seem like I'd spend time on anything other than schoolwork. Fine, after we play, I'll tutor you. After school, I followed Sumuksu to the club he mentioned. The club belonged to Song Mengmeng's uncle's company. Sumuksu took me straight to the third floor. There was a lounge area there, a private space just for the four of them. Song Mengmeng had insisted we arrive at the club first, in their exclusive gaming room. Song Mengmeng was dramatically telling Yang Yuji and Gong Wanru, I'm serious. Jiyu-chun is seriously good-looking. If it weren't for his engagement with Sister Suda, I'd definitely go after him. Yang Yuji twirled the pen in her hand and said in disbelief, is it really that exaggerated? Have you never seen a handsome guy before? Besides, didn't he say in the group chat that all he wants is to focus on studying? Why does it sound like you're saying he likes Sumuksu? Gong Wanru finally looked up from her phone. Song Mengmeng looked at her two besties, feeling like she was the only sober one in a room of drunkards. With a woman's sixth sense, she swore, Jiyu-chun definitely likes Sumuksu. You can't fake the way someone looks at someone. When Sumuksu and I arrived at the door, we happened to overhear their conversation. Sumuksu looked a little awkward right away. The three girls glanced at me nervously and uneasily. Don't listen to them, she said, trying to explain. They talk nonsense all the time. I smiled slightly. It's okay. I don't mind. Sumuksu's eyes fixated on me uncontrollably. Hearing that, she zoned out for a second before snapping back. Half distracted, she replied, as long as you don't mind. As we opened the door, the chatting inside instantly stopped. I sat down beside Sumuksu. When Yang Yuji and Gong Wanru looked our way, there was a moment of stunned silence. It took a while before they snapped out of it. Yang Yuji licked her lips. So this is the handsome guy Mengmeng was talking about. He really is. Gong Wanru was the first to come back to her senses. So you're Jiyu-chun. Sumuksu thought her friends were so embarrassing. What's the big deal? Never seen a hot guy before. But she completely forgot that the first time she saw me, she also froze and couldn't react. Truth is, I knew all three of them quite well. Just in my previous life, I waved warmly at them. Hi, everyone. I'm Jiyu-chun. Gong Wanru smiled warmly. Nice to meet you. First time meeting, I'm Gong Wanru. Yang Yuji was instantly smitten by the guy in front of her. But when she noticed the way I looked at Sumuksu, she could only grit her teeth silently. Song Mengmeng was actually right. There was no chance. After brief introductions, they got straight to the point. Playing games together. When I turned, I happened to catch a glimpse of Sumuksu's side profile. I couldn't help but admire how beautiful she was. Sumuksu seemed to sense something. She turned her head to look at me. I reacted quickly too. I bent down as she turned her head, pretending to tie my shoelaces. Because of my movement, my chest muscles under the collar were unintentionally revealed. Even my abs could faintly be seen. But I just didn't want Sumuksu to notice I was looking at her. Unexpectedly, this accidental move won her heart. Sumuksu stared for 2 seconds. When she left, her face was flush red, holding her wildly beating heart. Sumuksu secretly scolded herself for being so useless. She had said they'd just be friends. What was with the heartbeat? Then she quickly tensed her face, looking extremely indifferent. The game had already started. I dreamed I was still at home doing nothing. Someone shouted, "The game has started." Dad came, and I immediately picked up my phone and entered the game. That's when I realized we ran into pro players again. They were from Shenmin's team. Last time, I used Sumuksu's account. Got a pentakill with Yi Qiaowu. This time, by coincidence, we ran into them again and they got excited. They started chasing Sumuksu. Right at the start, Sumuksu gave away to kills. While I was on the bot lane, I heard Song Mengmeng shouting nearby. "Sisu, what's up? What's going on? They actually got to kills off us?" Yang Yuji and Gong Wanru were also surprised. After all, they had seen Sumuksu's skills firsthand. Even if the opponents were pros, it shouldn't have led to quick deaths. So I felt confused too. I was just about to ask Sumuksu what was wrong. Then the opponents jumped out to trash talk. One of them ID. Top assassin typed, "Is this it? This is what they call a pro. Last time Shenmin got pentakilled by the Yi Qiaowu. Are you sure this is revenge? Zhaoxu's doing this badly? I beat him so easily he couldn't fight back at all." "Mingzhe, are you sure you're not joking?" Shenmin also seemed confused. Did someone else take over? Top assassin continued mocking. "No wonder. I knew it. How could such a noob possibly win?" "Ningzhe, you pissed Mengmeng off. What the heck is this?" Calling her a noob over and over. "Sisu, go." But Sumuksu remained expressionless. His left hand on the screen curled slightly. He glanced down. 3 out of 5 fingers were swollen. He had accidentally caught them in the bathroom door earlier that morning. Didn't feel much pain at the time. Didn't expect it to get this bad. Proud for a lifetime, Sumuksu would never tolerate being insulted, not even in a game. He squeezed his fingers, just as he was about to go all in. A thrilling string of in-game notifications sounded from the phone. Double kill, triple kill, quadra kill, pentakill, dead silence, and eerie quiet. I typed in the game chat, "Is that all?" Those words carried even more insult, making their earlier mockery of Sumuksu sound like playground banner. Just one line, "Is that all?" No subject, but after scoring a pentakill. Saying that line had a very clear intent. The top assassin who had just mocked Sumuksu now felt his face burning with shame. But in the face of absolute power, all trash talk felt weak and meaningless. The 5 professional players, even though 3 were substitutes, were actually wiped out by an amateur. What a disgrace. Song Mengmeng and the others finally realized, after disbelief and shock, came pure joy from the heart. Sumuksu was closest to me. He looked at the person beside him in disbelief. A calm sidelong glance. He's actually standing up for me. Miss Su, always above all. Even against the air in between. He's always the one standing up for others. But no one's ever stood up for him. He looked at the boy beside him like that. After venting my anger, I finally felt happy. How dare anyone insult Sumuksu? I flexed my fingers, then turned and smiled brightly at Sumuksu. Now their mouths are clean. My smile was charming and confident. Seeing that moment, Sumuksu's heart seemed to skip a beat. He quickly turned away. "Thanks," that Sooner girl added hastily. "It's just because my hand's injured." At this moment, I played along with the princess and her pride, following her lead in words. "If your hand weren't hurt, they wouldn't have dared to be so arrogant." That's how I said it. But a loss is still a loss. Sumuksu can be proud all she wants. But when I said that, she blushed. Moaning felt pampered. The game wasn't over yet, but the outcome was already clear. I patted my chest and said, "Since your hand is hurt, no more gaming for you. I'll take this round for you. Just watch me teach them a lesson." I smiled naturally, like a spring breeze, as if cleansing Sumuksu's heart. After the game ended, God sent me a message. "Was that you using the C Qianxia account last time?" I glanced at it and smiled as I replied, "Correct." God suddenly realized, no wonder. You really don't show any mercy to old friends. I smiled and corrected him. Not an old friend, an old defeated rival. Sumuksu didn't mean to peek. It just happened in a glance. He saw my private chat with God. "You know God?" he asked aloud. I casually closed the chat box and said, Yeah. Then why did you help me teach them a lesson? Aren't you afraid your friend would get mad? I forgot. That's Sumuksu, and I aren't in a relationship yet. So I replied naturally. Because they dared to bully you. As if it was the most obvious thing. But my voice was firm and resolute. Sumuksu straightened up and looked at me in surprise. Then I realized I might have scared him. So I flashed my signature confident smile. Because we're teammates now. So it was just because they were teammates. Sumuksu suddenly felt his heart bungee jump. He lifted his chin proudly. This time you helped me. I owe you one. If you ever need help, just say the word. Hearing that, I smirked slightly. How about tonight then? Sumuksu froze for a moment. He didn't expect me to be so direct. Yeah, you'll know tonight. I gave him another dazzling smile. Sumuksu's hand was injured, so he couldn't keep gaming. We didn't stay much longer either. After we left, Song Mengming spread her hands. Told you I was right. Kang Wanru let out a mischievous smile. I can't wait to see Suji streaking. On the way home, I stopped by a pharmacy. Afterward, Sumuksu asked, What did you buy at the pharmacy? I gave a faint smile. You'll see tonight. I shook the medicine in my hand. For swelling and pain relief. Didn't your hand swell? I'll spray it on you later, okay? He quickly snatched the medicine from my hand and strode ahead. I could tell he was embarrassed. So I smiled gently and followed his pace. Sumuksu kept walking ahead, unaware of the tenderness in my eyes as I looked at him. After we got home, I circled some questions I had prepared in advance and headed straight for Sumuksu's room. His room was right next to mine. The door was half open. I knocked, but there was no response. So I called out, Sumuksu, are you in there? Just as I finished speaking, there was a loud bang. I thought Sumuksu had fallen. So I rushed in through the door, only to see the cat had knocked over his Lego set. As I pushed the door open, Sumuksu had just come out of the bathroom. He was wrapped in a towel. Embarrassed, I backed out of the room. Sumuksu calmly grabbed some home clothes from the hanger and went back into the bathroom. He came out dressed in under 2 minutes. When he walked back out, his pale skin stood out against his usual indifferent expression. I knew Sumuksu didn't like people entering his private space uninvited, so I explained. I heard something fall just now. I thought you had fallen, so I came in. I did knock. Sumuksu replied with a simple then noticed the workbook in my hand and asked calmly, Which questions don't you get? I couldn't tell if he was angry. He was very good at hiding his feelings. For a moment, I really couldn't read him. These ones. I opened the workbook and placed it on his desk. Sumuksu pulled out the chair and sat down and began thinking over the questions. He had just showered, so his whole body gave off a fresh and clean scent of body wash. I sat next to him. He focused on the questions, and I focused on him. My gaze was bold and direct. I thought to myself, wow, he's really good at acting. I already explained why I came in by accident. So why does he still look so serious? Because my gaze was too direct. It was hard for Sumuksu not to notice. His beautiful slender fingers gripped the pen tightly. He gripped the pen. His right ear turned unbelievably red. He couldn't concentrate on the questions at all. Finally, he couldn't hold back anymore. He turned to me, Are you done staring? He finally had another reaction. From his tone, I could tell he wasn't angry. My happiness showed on my face. I waved my hand and smiled. Nope. Sumuksu, I just realized you're really good looking. Hearing that, it felt like something exploded inside Sumuksu. He quickly looked away, almost in a panic. Flustered. He said something he didn't mean. I remember you said you just wanted to focus on studying. To better yourself. Don't fall for me. Exactly, but that doesn't stop me from admiring your looks. Don't worry, I'm just admiring. Not falling in love. I even patted his shoulder reassuringly as I said it. Those calculated words of mine made Sumuksu's heart, which had been bouncing up and down, drop to the floor. He suddenly felt off, pushed down the frustration in his heart, and focused on the questions I asked. I had to admit, the questions I asked him were always pretty difficult. It made Sumuksu wonder if I might actually be a good student. Last time, he had written out the solutions in detail. This time, he only wrote down the key steps. I just needed to review the key concepts. These problems weren't actually that hard for me. After writing out the key steps, Sumuksu asked me, "Can you understand it?" He had just taken a shower. His hair was still damp, giving off a fresh shampoo scent. I forgot to bring the scratch paper. I moved a bit closer to him. As I moved closer, Sumuksu's right side became stiff. I seemed completely unaware. I was fully focused on analyzing his approach to the problem. I gently asked him if that was how he understood it. Sumuksu clearly understood my line of thinking. While admiring my intelligence, he also heard my gentle voice. His ears started to feel hot. I was too close, and his voice raised a pitch, apologizing. I calmly apologized. I seemed very interested in the question. Though I said sorry, I still leaned in a little more. Sumuksu had already reminded me once. He felt it would be rude to say it again, so he continued solving the problem, trying to distract himself. I noticed his left hand was still swollen. I stood up and grabbed the medicine I bought for him on the way. I waited for a moment. Sumuksu finally finished solving the problem. This time, I didn't quickly figure out the solution. So Sumuksu explained it to me step by step. Did you understand? If not, I can explain in more detail. I shook my head. No need. I understood. Sumuksu coughed and asked, "Do you need anything else?" Implying, "Why aren't you leaving?" I picked up on the hint in his words. I laughed in my heart. If not for his looks, with that proud and cold personality, he'd be single forever. There's still something important. Something important? Sumuksu was puzzled. What could be so important? As soon as he finished speaking, he saw me grab his hand. At that moment, Sumuksu's heartbeat almost stopped. Even his voice tightened. "What are you doing?" I pulled his left hand over and shook the medicine bottle in my right hand. "I'm applying the medicine for you. You haven't used it yet, have you?" So it was just for the medicine. Sumuksu let out a sigh of relief. Seeing how tense he was, I deliberately leaned closer with a playful smile. "What did you think I was going to do to you?" The boy in front of me smiled handsomely. Sumuksu's heartbeat peaked as I smiled like that. He thought I probably didn't know how good I looked when I smiled, afraid I'd hear his pounding heartbeat. Sumuksu pulled back with a cold expression. "I'll do it myself." I didn't let him. "If you could have done it yourself, you wouldn't still be sitting here without applying the spray." Sumuksu shot me a cold look. Usually, when he looks at people like that, they're all intimidated, but all he saw was the top of my head. I was lowering my head, spraying medicine onto his fingers, then gently massaging it in for him. Swollen-fingered Sumuksu was left speechless, while his thoughts were on a roller coaster. I let go of his hand. "All done. Gurgle asterisk." Sumuksu's stomach made an untimely sound, totally out of place. His face turned red, clearly embarrassed, but he didn't say a word. Trying to hide his awkwardness behind a cold expression, I chuckled. "You're hungry." Sumuksu kept a straight face, seemingly annoyed. He calmly ran a hand through his hair. "I'm dieting. Then I'll head out. Thanks for today." I got up and left his room, without a hint of reluctance. Sumuksu sat stiffly, his slender, pretty fingers pressed against his stomach. He was starving, but he'd already said it. Even if he was dying of hunger, Sumuksu wouldn't ask NiceGamLii to make him a late-night snack. He pulled out his test papers and started doing problems. Meanwhile, I walked out of Sumuksu's room and straight downstairs. In order to win over Muksu, I had tried everything, even the trick of capturing his taste buds. I had to admit, he could even make a bowl of noodles taste out of reach. Luckily, the fridge was fully stocked. I patiently made a bowl of rich, fragrant noodles, topped with fresh green scallions. Just the broth alone took me an hour to make. It looked light, but the taste stirred one's appetite immensely. When Sumuksu heard the knock on the door, he had already smelled the aroma. His eyes flickered slightly, a suspicion forming in his mind. That suspicion was confirmed when he opened the door. It was really me. I stood at the doorway, holding a bowl of noodles with both hands, smiling naturally at him. Just a simple "here," no extra explanation, just that one casual offer. But this Sundar princess had just claimed he was dieting. How could he now admit he wanted to eat, just as he was about to refuse? I pushed the bowl toward him. "I spent an hour making these noodles. Miss Su, please do me the honor of trying it." I'd said it all, leaving him no way to turn me down. If Sumuksu still refused, he'd seem ungrateful. So he silently took the bowl. I think you're just purposely ruining my diet. As he turned around, the smile on his lips betrayed his good mood. Seeing him still so tsundere made me helpless and amused. So I gave him some exaggerated praise. Actually, you don't need to diet. With a body like that, what weight is there to lose? Praised for his body by a boy who made his heart flutter. Sumuksu's ears perked up, but he stubbornly said, "This is called striving for perfection. You wouldn't understand." Then he took a bite of the noodles. The noodles looked plain, but the magic was all in the milky broth. With just one bite, his eyes immediately lit up. Every strand of noodle was coated in rich, flavorful broth. Each bite was bursting with savory goodness. One could say this was the best bowl of noodles Sumuksu had ever eaten. "You really made this?" he asked in disbelief. I proudly admitted it. What else? Was it good? Sumuksu couldn't lie and say it wasn't. He just lowered his head and grunted. He quickly finished the bowl of noodles. Even the broth was completely gone. No matter how tsundere he acted, he couldn't help but feel shy. Sumuksu glanced at me. "Thanks," said the handsome Sumuksu, close to my face. His heartbeat went irregular again. It wasn't like no one had treated him well before, but no one had ever been as attentive and thoughtful as me, even taking care of his pride. "You're welcome. It's a thank you for helping me with the questions." Just a small token. Sumuksu's face fell. I had flirted with him, stirred his heart like ripples in a lake, only to wave my sleeve and leave without taking a cloud with me. The next day, after getting up, Sumuksu quickly finished breakfast and was ready to head to school. As usual, he wanted the driver to take me. He'd ride his bike himself. I called out to him, "Wait a second, what is it?" He looked back cautiously. I gave him a bright smile. "Sumuksu, your bike has a backseat, right? Can I give you a ride to school?" My gentle voice, along with my charming smile, hit Sumuksu right in the heart. He had to admit face was such a handsome face. He just couldn't say no. So he reluctantly agreed. As I pedaled him to school, Sumuksu just couldn't figure it out. He had promised himself to keep a distance from me, so why was he getting closer instead? We sped down the road, finally reaching the classroom just before the bell rang, avoiding a lecture from the homeroom teacher. During the break when I went to the bathroom, Sumuksu was napping at his desk. He overheard someone gossiping about me. A few boys grumbling about how close I was to him, disapproving. Sumuksu heard it all with disdain, then suddenly stood up and walked straight toward them. Sumuksu was young, good-looking, and came from a wealthy family. There were countless boys at school who liked her. When they saw him walking over, the boys mocking me straightened up, nervous yet hopeful as they looked at him. "Sumuksu, do you need something?" One of them blushed and bravely tried to talk to him. Sumuksu raised his elegant hand and tapped on the desk. His voice was icy cold. "Who I hang out with is none of your damn business." None of the boys expected that he had come over to speak up for me. Suddenly, all of them flushed red. "Sumuksu, that's not what we meant." "Who cares what you meant?" Sumuksu cut them off sharply. "If you're not using your mouths, donate them. They're wasted. And don't let me hear you talking bad about Jiyu-chun behind his back again." Just after finishing his icy speech, Sumuksu spotted me at the classroom door. I had already walked in. Sumuksu suddenly felt a strange sense of vulnerability, like his thoughts had been seen through. He coughed uncomfortably and strode forward quickly. As he passed by me, his face still proud. "Move. I need to use the bathroom." I stepped aside. Sumuksu had only taken a few steps when he heard my voice from behind. "Thank you." Sumuksu quickened his pace. Having been defended by Sumuksu, I was in a great mood. Even my math textbook looked especially charming. Song Mengmeng saw the smile stuck on my face. She leaned over and asked, "Jiyu-chun, are you free tonight?" I didn't get why Song Mengmeng was grinning so wickedly, but based on what I knew about her, she was definitely up to something. "Got plans? It's Friday, and tomorrow's a holiday. If nothing comes up, I'm free tonight." Song Mengmeng leaned in and whispered in my ear, "That senior is racing someone tonight. If you're free, I'll take you to watch the race." I frowned. I remembered. In my past life, it was during this race that Sumuksu got injured. He had to rest for half a year before he could hold things steadily again. That injury caused him to stop pursuing what he loved, gaming. Sumuksu was a top student. He was able to balance study and entertainment well. I never thought his love for games was a bad thing. It wasn't just addiction. He had real passion for them. He didn't just want to play esports. He had a lot of creative ideas about game design too. Busy chatting, he had forgotten about the danger. No, I have to stop Sumuksu. Song Mangmang originally just wanted to take me to admire how cool Sumuksu looked. But seeing my serious face, she suddenly regretted bringing it up. Just pretend I didn't say anything. But I looked up and said seriously, I'll go. Song Mangmang had a bad feeling. She felt like she'd started something bad. Forget it, whatever. Let Sumuksu worry about it himself. My mind was stuck on that memory. In my past life, I hadn't gone. I only heard about the accident after it happened. The news came too late. That thought made me uneasy. When Sumuksu came back and saw my worried expression, he thought the boys' gossip had upset me. He handed me a bottle of water. Don't take it to heart. They were just talking nonsense. I smiled and took the water, asking, weren't you just going to the bathroom? Where'd the water come from? He had only been gone a few minutes. Sumuksu turned his gaze away awkwardly. Just drink it. Why ask so many questions? Thanks, I replied sweetly. I saw his ears turn red as blood, and my lips curled into an uncontrollable smile. Still so tsundere. Sumuksu responds better to kindness than force. He just can't handle me being this obedient. Now he even feels he was too harsh just now. He wanted to explain. But when he turned around, the words vanished from his lips. I had already unscrewed the bottle cap and was tilting my head back to drink. Are you really going racing with someone tonight? Sumuksu turned his face coldly, looking annoyed. Did Song Mangmang tell you? You want to come too? I shook my head. Can you not go? Sumuksu looked at me with some confusion. Why don't you want me to go? I couldn't just say, because you'll get hurt. To him, that would sound like a curse rather than a warning. After a moment of silence, Sumuksu spoke first. How about you come with me? I couldn't think of a good enough reason to stop him. So I had no choice but to agree for now. I'd figure it out as we went. After school, I left with Sumuksu and Song Mangmang. As soon as we got outside the school gates, we hailed a cab to the race venue. The race was at Moonlight Mountain. There was a winding mountain road there. Racing on it was exciting and dangerous. We'd only reached halfway up when we saw a crowd by the roadside. Girls dressed boldly and flamboyantly. They were holding inflatable cheer sticks in their hands. Besides the girls, a few convertible cars were parked across the road. Convertibles. On the hood of one sat a man with tattooed arms. He didn't look that old. Maybe in his early 20s. This wasn't an official event. And these weren't professional racers either. Gong Wanning and Yang Yuji were already waiting there. When they saw Sumuksu get out of the car, they waved at him. The guy sitting on the car hood grinned mockingly at Sumuksu, the trash from Ming Yang Club. As I looked at him, the uneasiness in my heart grew to its limit. Now I understood why I absolutely couldn't let this race happen. Because this was the guy who, during the race, caused several racers from Ming Yang Club to get hurt, disqualified from the race from then on. Not only that, Yang Yuji was also injured by him in a race. Yang Yuji was injured before I met Sumuksu. Today, Sumuksu came to settle that grudge. And she did settle it. I got out of the car with Sumuksu. As soon as people saw Sumuksu open the car door and step out, the man already in the sports car mocked her. Isn't this Miss Su? You really do know how to make an entrance. Kept us all waiting. Since you know I'm that impressive, you'll have to put up with it. Sumuksu's eyes were dark and dangerous. Her gaze was cold and distant. She looked at the man like he was an ant. Or are you just so eager to die? 79 was upset inside, but knew he couldn't afford to offend Sumuksu openly. After all, she really was a rich heiress. He gave a fake smile, spread his arms helplessly. Miss Su, what are you saying? You honored us with your presence and are willing to race against me. 7-9. I couldn't ask for more. Cut the crap. If you lose this race, get the hell out of the racing world for good. 79 wasn't bothered by the insult. He spread his arms and smiled, a man of his word. As he turned, he gave me a meaningful look. I gave him a perfect smile in return. I'd love to beat this guy up. Let's see if he can take it. Sumuksu turned and happened to see me smiling. Her brows furrowed tightly. Why are you grinning like some pretty boy, smiling that sweetly at everyone? That guy 79 is cunning. Be careful he doesn't mess with you. Her tone was fierce, but her eyes were full of concern. I smiled and squinted. You're here, aren't you? No one can mess with me. Sumuksu was pleased by the trust in my eyes. Then she lowered her voice and muttered, fair point. Anyone under Sumuksu's protection. Mess with them and you're dead. You're still a guest of our family, after all. She finished the last part with a bit of sass, then stormed toward 79 aggressively. Song Meng Meng, and I quickly followed. 79's gaze lingered on me. A race without stakes is boring. No fun at all. Sumuksu could easily guess what he was planning. Cut the crap. What do you mean no stakes? If you lose, you're out of the racing scene. If I lose, you get the Ming Yang Club. TSK, Miss Sue. No need to get so worked up. I just thought the wager was a little too plain. How about he glanced at me again? Sumuksu's face turned cold. Are we racing or not? If not, I'm out. I felt this was a good chance to stop Sumuksu. I stepped out from behind her. How about this? 79 stood straight near the hood of the car. Hands in pockets. How about we add a little something? This must be Miss Sue's little boyfriend, right? Let's make a wager on today's race. If I lose, not only will I quit the racing scene, I'll also hand over the Fei Yang Club to Miss Sue. And apologize publicly to those racers whose legs I broke. Those guys owe their broken legs to him anyway. Sumuksu's face darkened. You've got guts. I'll give you that. Like she even wanted that crummy Fei Yang Club. So, racing or not, she hadn't finished her sentence yet when I cut her off. You mean I'm the wager? I crossed my arms and looked at him, a bit mockingly. 79 smirked faintly. Exactly. What are you doing? Sumuksu grabbed my hand and frowned at me angrily. I looked at 79. If I'm the wager, then I should be the one to decide. And how would you like to decide? 79 seemed intrigued. Sumuksu didn't understand what I was doing. She wanted to take me away immediately and race 79 some other day. But just as that thought crossed her mind, then let me race against you. If you lose, do what you just said, apologize, and hand over the Fei Yang Club to Sumuksu. And if you lose, 79's smile deepened. I shrugged. Whatever you want, it's yours. As if I'd lose to 79 in driving skills. This idiot lost to me so many times in a past life. In terms of backing, he's an egg hitting a rock. Great, let's race today, you jerk. Sumuksu and Song Meng Meng were both stunned by my bold words. Hearing what I said, Sumuksu was so mad. Steam was almost coming out of her head. She grabbed my hand and pulled me close. Did a donkey kick your brain? What does this bet have to do with you? And whatever he wants, you'll give it. Are you brain dead? Do you even know what he wants? And you just agreed. She was mad. Really, truly mad. I quickly explained. Don't be mad. Relax. My driving skills are solid. My brother taught me. Sumuksu assumed that meant I had just started learning to drive. She tried to suppress her anger and said in a deep voice, this has nothing to do with you. Jiu Quan, you better stay out of this. 79 is a sneaky bastard. I don't want you getting hurt in the race. 79, being called sneaky to his face, was speechless. Yeah, he was sneaky, but saying it right to his face? Bit much, don't you think? He wouldn't dare mess with her openly. Or in secret, for that matter. Miss Sue, hearing you say that really flatters me, honestly. With you around, how could I ever bully your little boyfriend? Shut up, Sumuksu snapped. The angrier she got, the happier I felt. Because she was clearly worried about me. I gently patted the back of her hand. Then don't race him. Sumuksu leaned in. No can do. 79's like a damn leech. But I'll give him one thing. He keeps his word. As long as he loses, he really wouldn't bother the racers from Ming Yang Club again. His silence said it all. I smiled slightly. Don't worry, Sumuksu. I'll be fine. Sumuksu couldn't understand it. What does this have to do with you? Why do you have to race him? Because if I don't race him, then you will. I opened the car door beside me and got in with a smile, leaving Sumuksu with a sentence that struck deep. I don't want you to get hurt. Right now, my driving skills are far better than Sumuksu's at this point. In an emergency, I'd handle it better than she would. I don't want you to get hurt. The wind carried those words right into Sumuksu's heart. She stood frozen, staring at me already in the car. In all her life. Maybe it was because she always had a sense of control. Whether it was her parents or friends, everyone trusted her. This race, even though everyone knew 79 was shady, no one was really worried about her safety. Not because they didn't care, but because they trusted her that much. But now, this one boy looked her in the eye and seriously said he didn't want her hurt. Not just empty words. Unlike the fake concern of others, he proved it with his actions. He really didn't want her to get hurt. Her heartbeat calmed unexpectedly. Her eyes stared steadily at me. Suddenly, Sumuksu made a decision. I'm going with you. She opened the car door and got into the passenger seat without hesitation, fastened her seatbelt. I looked at her, surprised then chuckled. Whatever you say, my smile was indulgent and helpless. Sumuksu didn't know if she was imagining things, but her face flushed to hide her embarrassment. She shouted angrily at 79, the one who started all this mess. Are we racing or not? Hurry up and get in the car. 79 felt completely humiliated by Sumuksu being scolded like that in front of everyone. He sneered, what's the rush? I'm coming. Don't worry about it. 79 and I drove the same model. 2 convertible sports cars. When the blue flag dropped to the ground, my car shot off like an arrow from a bow. It took off in a flash, even faster than 79's reaction. Song Mengmeng, standing on the side, stared wide-eyed at the red sports car. Yang Yuji and Gong Wanning were just as surprised. They saw me replace Sumuksu in the race and didn't say much, but deep down, they were certain there was no way I could win this race. They never expected I'd actually keep up with 79. Is this what they call fearless youth? No one was more stunned than Sumuksu in the passenger seat, snapping out of the shock. She looked at me in utter confusion. There I was, one hand on the wheel, one hand on the gear shift, my face calm, my reflexes sharp, facing this intense high-speed race. I didn't even flinch. That tree shade doesn't matter. It's the participation that counts. With me here, 79 wouldn't dare touch you. Jiu Quan, slow down a bit. It's dangerous, Sumuksu said, looking like a total newbie on her first ride ever. She felt like everything was way beyond her comprehension. Like she was totally clueless. Can someone tell her how this quiet and gentle boy could drive so wildly? She felt like the wind was about to peel her face off. 79 couldn't overtake no matter what, because I kept blocking his path, and I had the edge on speed too. Watching my car pull ahead, 79's face twisted with rage. Damn it, I've been tricked. Those two definitely staged this whole thing to fool me. With driving skills like that, he still pretended to be so harmless. Frustrated, 79 slammed his hand on the steering wheel, setting off the car horn. I could see 79's car tailing closely in the rearview mirror. He must be absolutely furious right now. I smirked, what an idiot. If I wasn't confident, why would I race in Sumuksu's place? What I want is for Sumuksu to be safe, not to get into trouble with her. That sly grin of mine caught Sumuksu's eye. It was wicked and somehow captivating. Her heart didn't speed up from the car's pace. But from that smile, that crook smirk made her heart skip. Like a deer bouncing out of control. She instinctively placed a hand over her chest. Be careful, 79 might try something dirty. Her voice tightened. She even stuttered a little. I knew she was just worried about me. I turned to flash her a gentle smile. Relax. I'll be fine. That kind of smile stood out all the more because of the contrast. Sumuksu's heart started acting up again. Beating wildly out of control, she turned sharply and looked out the window, letting the wind blast her face. Holy crap, he's so charming. 79 still couldn't catch up with me, and even when he did, I was blocking the road, leaving him zero room to overtake. Thinking of the bet riding on this race, 79's face grew twisted with rage. Damn it, if you dare trick me, then don't blame me for being ruthless. He knew this road like the back of his hand. There was a sharp turn up ahead. His eyes grew darker and more dangerous. A warning sign marked the upcoming curve. But I had already seen it. I noticed the car behind me getting closer. I smirked slightly. Calm and collected, Sumuksu noticed 79 creeping up from behind. She warned, Ji Kwan, be careful at the turn. 79 had it all planned. Most people would naturally slow down when turning. That way, he could quickly rush forward and slam into my rear bumper. He immediately picked up speed. Finally, the curve was just ahead. 79 grinned, thinking his plan was working. He aimed straight at my rear and lunged. But suddenly, I did a perfect drift around the corner, dodging his attack completely. I hadn't slowed down at all going into the turn. 79 ended up hitting nothing. He crashed into the guardrail. With a loud asterisk bang asterisk, his engine cut off. That drift so smooth and cool. Even Sumuksu couldn't hold back cheering for me. I saw 79's awkward state in the rearview mirror and let out a crisp laugh. Haha. Tried to play dirty and got burned. My laughter was clear and full of delight. Sumuksu's wide eyes slowly relaxed, looking at me. Her gaze was full of emotion. Composed and steady, bold yet cautious. The other car was dead. 79 had been completely left behind. The finish line was also the start. Everyone was waiting there anxiously. When that familiar red car came into view, everyone tensed up. Then someone saw the plate, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Song Meng was stunned. Holy. Ji Kwan won. When the car stopped, I was instantly surrounded by cheers. About 2 minutes later, 79's car finally showed up. His eyes were filled with hatred. He saw Sumuksu standing by the roadside, and suddenly narrowed his eyes and sped toward her. Watch out! I saw 79's car accelerate towards Sumuksu. My heart jumped into my throat. I reached out and grabbed her hand, pulling her toward me. I accidentally hit her face. My teeth split her lip open. Her lips started bleeding from the impact. Nearby, some cheerleaders had left beer bottles, one of which cut Sumuksu on the waist. He let out a muffled groan, nearly collapsed on the spot. Sumuksu, are you okay? I asked anxiously. Sumuksu held her waist with one hand and held my hand with the other. Seeing the worried look on my face, she forced a smile through the pain. I'm fine. What about you? Are you hurt anywhere? I shook my head. I'm fine. Then came the sound of a car door slamming behind us. 79's lazy voice echoed in everyone's ears. Sorry, Miss Sue. I didn't see you there. I already knew 79 was shady, but I didn't expect him to be so brazen. I swallowed my anger, then turned to him. Are you blind or just asking to die? 79's expression turned cold, his eyes icy as he stared at me. But I wasn't afraid at all. Song Meng and the others came to their senses and immediately cursed out 79. What the hell was that? Daring to hit Sister Sue. You got a death wish. Song Meng wasn't holding back. Hands on hips, charging forward. She looked a little over the top. Yang Yuji and Gong Wanting flanked her left and right, like her loyal bodyguards. The three of them stared coldly at 79, demanding he give an explanation. 79's face twitched slightly, his eyes full of malice. I told you, I didn't see Miss Sue. Would I dare do it on purpose? My bad. My eyesight really sucks. I walked towards 79 with a cold expression. 79 gave a fake smile, trying to brush past Song Meng. I tilted my head and chuckled softly, then suddenly swung and punched him hard in the face, grabbed his collar, and slammed him against his own car door. I whispered a threat in his ear. Don't play games with me. I know every little scheme in your head. If you try this again, I'll kill you. Don't think that just because Sumuksu owes your sister a favor, you can do whatever you want. Kiju Mugwang trembled violently, his eyes full of unwillingness. All these years, the only reason he dared to be so arrogant was because he counted on Sumuksu owing his sister a favor. He had no choice but to back down. I let go of his collar and clapped my hands casually. What I said to Kiju Aside from Song Mengmeng and Yang Yuji, no one else heard it. Not even Su Muksu. The race ended. Kiju accepted the loss without complaint. Flying Club was handed over to Su Muksu, and he withdrew from the racing scene for good. Su Muksu's lower back was hit by a beer bottle. But after a moment, he recovered. On the way back, Song Mengmeng and Yang Yuji kept praising my driving and courage. But Gong Wanting kept smirking in the rearview mirror, sneaking a glance at Su Muksu with a grin. Their compliments made me a bit shy. Su Muksu later settled scores with me. Jiu Cheng, I'm warning you, don't do something like this again. Kiju holds grudges deeply. There's no need for you to get involved in our matters. He clearly cared, yet he had to phrase it as a warning. I began to understand why I had never realized before. Su Muksu actually liked him. I smiled with crescent eyes, my gaze filled with Su Muksu. In the car, Song Mengmeng and Yang Yuji felt like they'd been force-fed dog food. Only the driver, Gong Wanting, was slightly spared from the attack of public displays of affection. When we got home, just before I entered the door, Su Muksu suddenly stopped. He turned and looked at me just as I was about to enter the room next door. Su Muksu seemed a little awkward. Why were you so worried about me getting hurt? He recalled what I said before I replaced him in the race. I looked at him and shook my head with a smile. Guess what, guess. What are you? A kid playing house? Su Muksu was just about to ask more when my voice landed in his ears. Aunt Su asked me to keep a close eye on you. With that, I opened the door and went in. I shut the door without a moment's hesitation. Su Muksu looked dumbfounded. So it was all because of his mom. And he'd been feeling giddy for hours. He let out a heavy sigh from his chest. A laugh escaped him unwillingly. This lady knew it was something like that. HMPH, just as expected. What was I getting drunk on emotion for? This lady didn't catch feelings at all, yet I couldn't even fold my blanket. He grumbled as he walked into the room, teeth clenched in frustration, while taking a shower. Su Muksu couldn't stop thinking about what I'd said. Aunt Su asked me to keep a close eye on you. When he stepped out of the shower, he saw the swelling in the mirror. Thinking of how he got the bruise, his face suddenly flushed red. At first, the pain distracted him from thinking. There was no suspicion in his mind, but thinking back carefully, the bruise had appeared because I bumped into his lips. Which meant ... I had stolen his first kiss. He couldn't allow himself to think further. Su Muksu shook his head furiously. When did he start acting like a teenage girl? It was just an accident, that's all. He couldn't even face his own feelings. The first thing Su Muksu did after lying on his bed was call Ms. Su. She told him she would be back tomorrow. But Su Muksu didn't really care about that. He fished for information in a roundabout way and confirmed one thing. She really did ask me to look after him. Su Muksu pulled the blanket over his head angrily. Not even sure what he was mad about. He couldn't fall asleep at all, so he grabbed his phone and decided to call up some brothers for a game. Maybe he was going crazy. Somehow he ended up opening my chat window and saw my latest moments post, posted just 10 minutes ago, still fresh. The video was a one-on-one game clip. He recognized both usernames. One was the pro player Shenming. The other was me. The caption only had the words, Shenming. It's so late, and she's still gaming with Shenming. Su Muksu sat up straight with a thump, staring at his phone in disbelief. Does she not study? And what does this caption mean? From those two words, Su Muksu somehow sensed ambiguity. At that moment, I was chatting with Shenming. He invited me to join his team, but I declined. With nothing else to do, I played a match with him. In that round, Shenming performed really well. Some moves were even god tier. I thought it was pretty cool, so I posted the clip and gave him the tag. After a few messages, Shenming called me directly. I hesitated for a few seconds, then picked up. Shenming, I told you I don't want to join. Stop trying to persuade me, it won't work. A helpless laugh came from the other end. Alright, sounds like your mind's made up, but I do want to ask a favor. What is it? Just as he said that, there was a soft knock on the door. Who is it? I asked, walking over to open the door. Su Muksu was standing outside, his lips pale, holding a cotton swab in one hand, and antiseptic in the other. Su Muksu noticed I was on a call, but still turned his cool eyes toward me. Can you help me apply the medicine? Apply medicine. I saw his pale lips and remembered the injury he'd gotten earlier. I took the cotton swab and bottle from his hands. Come in. He sat on the chair stiffly. I opened the bottle and stood in front of him. Leaning down slightly. Lift your chin a little. Sumuksu obediently tilted his chin up. The cotton swab was soaked in antiseptic. Touching the wound on his lips caused a slight sting. Sumuksu looked at me with his cool, clear eyes. His gaze fixed on my overly handsome face. Sumuksu tensed up instinctively. His hands, resting on his knees, clenched slightly. I moved gently. Noticing Sumuksu was nervous. I thought he was in pain. Hang in there. It stings a bit. He let out a low sound from his throat. Then suddenly remembered why he came here. Who were you on the phone with just now? That question felt a little abrupt. A bit inappropriate, given their current relationship, but he didn't realize that at all. I glanced at him, noticing the nervous look in his eyes. Suddenly, I understood something. Smiling, I said, Shenmin. You were on the phone with Shenmin. His voice rose suddenly. He startled me so much I jabbed him by accident, but Sumuksu didn't care about that at all. His tone grew urgent. You're still talking to Shenmin this late at night? Are you to that close? As he asked. Sumuksu finally realized he had overstepped. His gaze dimmed instantly. He tugged at the corner of his mouth, trying to save face. I heard Shenmin likes tricking guys into online relationships. Don't fall for it. After he said that, he realized it was kind of shady to say such a thing. I couldn't help but laugh out loud at Sumuksu. I burst into laughter and tossed the cotton swab into the trash. Then I closed the medicine bottle. Relax. Shenmin and I are just friends. Hearing me say that, Sumuksu felt a wave of relief. But then, after thinking about it more carefully, he froze again. Why relax? What does it have to do with me? He rushed to explain himself. I was just worried you might get scammed. That's all. Why relax? It's your own business, after all. It has nothing to do with me. I squinted at him. Someone's words didn't match their heart. Still so tsundere. Well then, thank you, Miss Su, for your concern. It's already quite late. Go back and sleep. I walked him out of the room. Sumuksu rubbed the tip of his pen in frustration. He didn't say anything wrong, right? So why did it feel like I was a bit annoyed? Only a few days left until the monthly exam. I'd spent the past few days focusing entirely on studying. To him, I seemed a bit too hardworking. He thought I had it tough coming to this life alone. Plus, the pressure from exams. He felt sympathy, so he picked out the key topics for the test and planned to go over them with me. He quietly prepared them for today's. When he saw me coming back from outside, Sumuksu sat up straighter than ever, ready to hand over the practice questions. I had just sat down next to him when Song Mengmeng, holding a notebook, turned around and handed it to me. Jiyu-chun. These are the notes I organized earlier. There are some key questions for the monthly exam. Take a look. I was a bit surprised. Honestly, I didn't really need them anymore, but it was a kind gesture from Mengmeng. I gladly accepted it. Thanks, I'll treat you to something someday. Song Mengmeng replied, no need to be polite, but she was already thinking of what to eat. Sumuksu stood nearby, completely dumbfounded. Chenshin, when did that girl Song Mengmeng get so close to me? I'm still Jiyu-chun's childhood fiancé. What's this? Song Mengmeng noticed the notebook on my desk and reached out to grab it. Sumuksu quickly snatched it and threw it back onto the desk. What's yours is yours. You can't look at mine. Song Mengmeng laughed at that. At that moment, Sumuksu suddenly felt the embarrassment of having his thoughts exposed by a close friend. From his guilty expression, I vaguely figured out something. I advised him to protect that notebook carefully, but didn't call him out. Instead, I helped change the subject. I asked Song Mengmeng when she'd have time to treat me to food. Sumuksu silently listened to our conversation, feeling more and more uncomfortable inside. He'd worked up courage all morning, but kept silent. During the break, I got a call from Shenmin. He asked if I liked Zhao. Was that why I stood up for him last time? The corners of my lips unconsciously curled into a teasing smile. Yes. Sumuksu was lying on his desk. He looked up and saw that pleasant expression on my face. He frowned, thinking hard about who I was on the phone with and why I was smiling so happily. After school, Sumuksu stood at the gate with his backpack waiting for me. I had forgotten to tell him I had plans today. Seeing him waiting at the gate, I felt a tiny bit guilty. Sumuksu, You can head home first. I have something to do. Something to do. Sumuksu frowned. Does it have anything to do with the phone call you had in the hallway earlier? His face was tense, his sharp jawline shifting slightly. Well, same here. Not having to walk you home is even better. And with that, he walked off briskly. He left just like that, without giving me any room. I watched him walk away with a helpless smile. Still so childish. Manhwa, real name Mangbin, used to be a pro player. We got along well in-game. Then he suddenly disappeared. I only knew him online. We had no contact in real life. So, when he vanished from the internet, I lost all connection with him. Only when Shenmin brought him up did I find out Manhwa is also a student. At the very least, we knew each other once, and in-game. Manhwa had helped me out many times. Looking at the photo Shenmin sent, Mangbin was actually a girl. The reason I recognized her at a glance was because I had seen an interview of Mangbin in a dress in my past life. Yes, that one. Mangbin studies at One High School. And One High isn't far from Linjiang, just 2 alleyways away from One's main gate. I waited outside the gate for Mangbin. I stepped forward to say hello, Manhwa. I'm Sishian Taeyongxia. Hearing that name suddenly, Mangbin unexpectedly showed a faint smile. The sunset was beautiful. A handsome boy and a pretty girl always catch attention, especially since Mangbin was also the school belle at One High. The two of us smiling at each other was captured by students with cameras and posted onto the school forum. Meanwhile, lounging lazily on the sofa, Song Mengmeng said, "What's wrong with you today? You look so grumpy. Who got on your nerves?" Sumuksu sat there sulking, silent. By now, Chun should have gone home, right? With unclear thoughts in his heart, he took out his phone, thinking to send a casual message. Just then, a message popped up from Yang Yuji of Class 2. It was the second message she had sent. In an instant, his long narrow eyes widened sharply. Sumuksu shot up from the couch and rushed outside. "Sumuksu, where are you going?" "Wait for me." Song Mengmeng quickly chased after him. On the other side, Mangbin and I walked out of school side by side. I didn't immediately expose her identity. Instead, we chatted about the past. As Mangbin recalled old memories, a faint smile gradually returned to her face. It was obvious she hadn't been happy lately. I stopped walking and asked, "Mangbin, Shenmin asked me to persuade you to rejoin the team. But now, more than anything, I want to know if something's wrong." Mangbin's smile instantly faded upon hearing that. She looked at me without blinking. "My issues aren't something you can help with." Suddenly, a rude voice rang out ahead of us. Well, what a coincidence. Mangbin and I both turned to the voice. The speaker arrived with a group of underlings, both arms tattooed, chest puffed out. Who else could it be but Kiju? Mangbin's face instantly paled. He'd completely forgotten Kiju was looking for trouble today. He quickly whispered to me, "You go first. We'll talk in a few days." He thought he spoke quietly, but it didn't escape Kiju's ears. The flesh on Kiju's face twitched slightly, trying to leave. "In your dreams," I smirked. I hadn't even settled the score for him trying to run over Sumuksu. Now he was showing up to die on his own. How convenient. Kiju waved his hand, and his gang immediately rushed over, blocking the way out. There's no escaping now. Nowhere to run. Mangbin glared at Kiju with furious eyes. "If you've got a problem, come at me. Don't hurt my friend." Kiju looked amused. "Please, don't try to play the hero. I was more interested in teaching him a lesson anyway." "Teaching me a lesson?" I chuckled and rolled my wrist. Then I stepped in front of Mangbin. "I'll take care of this. I've been wanting to hit him." With that, I calmly walked toward Kiju, one step at a time. Kiju looked like he'd heard the funniest joke ever. "You teach me a lesson. He didn't even finish his sentence. A sharp kick flew right past his ear. Thankfully, he dodged in time. My surprise lunge had missed, but I wore a mischievous smirk. That was just a warning. Now I'm going to get serious. Real skill shows at first move. My next kick was swift and fierce, even slicing through the air with a sound. Kiju instantly realized he'd underestimated me. This brat's got skills, he thought. No wonder he's not scared. Kiju shouted, "You idiots. Hurry up and help me. The guy's blocking the exit earlier." Frightened, he rushed forward to help. Mangbin knocked down the first guy with a sidekick. He snorted coldly. Your opponent is me. The two groups clashed immediately. 79 had learned standard Chinese boxing and thought he could handle it. He didn't think it'd be too bad, but he overestimated himself. He couldn't last more than a few moves. He felt the numbing power in his arm. In that moment, he thought about surrendering, but I didn't even give him a chance to speak. My attacks were fast and fierce. In just a few minutes, 79 was knocked to the ground. His body hit the floor, his cheek pressed against it. I stepped on his head and back. With a twisted mouth, he pleaded unclearly. Please, boss, spare me. I'm just 79, a nobody from Fushanchong. You still want to hit me? 79 no longer had the guts to act tough. No. I wouldn't dare. Just then, one of his guys rushed out. Holding a stick, he charged at me, shouting, Boss, I'll help you. I spun around fiercely. A heavy leg landed directly on his shoulder. It forced him to his knees. The stick fell to the ground with a smack. His shoulder throbbed with pain. He grimaced. Please, hero, spare me. I sneered coldly, and at that moment, I heard Song Mengming's panting from deep in the alley. Muksu, wait for me. I can't run anymore. Hearing Su Muksu, the sneer froze on my face. I quickly pulled my leg back and ran in Su Muksu's direction. I couldn't appear violent in front of Su Muksu. But unexpectedly, one of 79's men got bold. Seeing me running away, he picked up the stick on the ground, planning to ambush me. When Su Muksu arrived, this was what she saw. In that moment, her heart leapt to her throat. Watch out, I easily dodged it, then rushed in front of her. Su Muksu looked me over carefully. She asked worriedly, Are you okay? Did you get hurt anywhere? I smiled and shook my head. I'm fine. Su Muksu nodded, then looked at Mangbin. What exactly happened? Mangbin stood across from a pile of people lying on the ground, including 79, who looked especially miserable. Mangbin didn't expect me to know Su Muksu. I raised an eyebrow. It's just like what you saw. Su Muksu realized that I almost got hurt. Because of Mangbin, she wasn't friendly toward him, but didn't say anything. The real troublemaker, 79, tried to sneak away when he saw Su Muksu. But Su Muksu yelled, How dare you bully someone under my protection? Seems like you've got a death wish. 79 looked miserable. Before he could explain, he got slapped hard across the face. After teaching 79 a lesson, Su Muksu didn't even look at Mangbin and dragged me away. Seeing me leave, Mangbin instinctively called out, Wait a second. Su Muksu stopped walking. I turned around. Mangbin recited a string of numbers. He said, That's my number. I nodded. All right. I'll contact you next time. Then I took out my phone to save the number. Su Muksu was so annoyed by what I did, she left. He actually saved another girl's number, right in front of me. Does he think I'm dead or what? Don't get mad. He's just helping his grandpa take care of a friend's grandson. Su Muksu convinced herself with that thought. But her face was still ice cold. She grabbed me and walked ahead briskly. She brought me to her place. I noticed the heavy air around her. I finally realized and asked, Su Muksu, are you mad at me? Su Muksu turned to look at me and shamefully realized she couldn't even bear to speak harshly to me. No, she said, pretending not to be angry, but she was still frustrated inside. She asked angrily, How do you know Mangbin? And after saying that, she realized maybe she cared a little too much. Wanzan added, Since you're a guest at our home, I'll kindly remind you, don't keep putting yourself in dangerous situations. I could tell Su Muksu was jealous. I smiled and said, Got it. Thank you, Su Muksu. One moment she was fierce and angry. The next she was like a balloon with a hole completely deflated. Instantly diffused. No need to thank me too much, she muttered. It was nothing. Just a casual thing. After that, she looked like she couldn't hold her blush anymore. I'm going back to my room. Someone will bring you dinner later. Asterisk bang. Asterisk. She slammed the door in my face. I touched my nose. Damn, that door almost hit me in the face. Why not just admit you care? What's with that tsundere act? I went back to my room and grabbed some ointment. There was a scratch on Su Muksu's neck. It happened when I accidentally scraped him with my fingernail while pulling him down. Sumuksu came out after taking a shower and heard a knock on the door. He paused for a second, thinking it might be me, and couldn't help but smile slightly. He quickly walked over to open the door. Sumuksu's lips curled into a small smile. He awkwardly coughed. "What are you doing here?" I walked past Sumuksu into the room. Sumuksu followed right behind me. Suddenly, I turned around. I stepped closer to him. Sumuksu instinctively backed away. I placed my hands on his shoulders. With a gentle push, I sat him down on the bed. Trying to keep his composure, Sumuksu braced himself with his hands behind him on the blanket. His voice tightened nervously. What are you trying to do?" I stood over him, leaning down close to his face. With a deep voice, I said, "What do you think?" Sumuksu was so nervous his whole body stiffened. His palms started to sweat. I'm not sure why, but seeing him so nervous he couldn't speak made me smile. I didn't have the heart to tease him anymore. I leaned closer to Sumuksu's collarbone and directly applied the ointment, gently dabbing it on the scratched area. Seeing him about to move, I said in a low voice, "Don't move. I'm applying medicine." Sumuksu's heart was pounding like a drum. His dark eyes didn't blink at all, watching me tend to his wound. His long lashes trembled slightly without him realizing it. I straightened up. "All done." Sumuksu immediately suppressed the flutter in his heart. He cleared his throat and turned slightly away. Shyly, he said, "Thanks." I smiled softly, and my voice naturally turned gentle. "I should be the one thanking you. If it weren't for saving me, you wouldn't have been there. This injury must have happened from running too fast and bumping into something." Sumuksu, who had just calmed down, heard this and instantly reacted like a cat whose tail got stepped on. He flared up in a second. He said anxiously, "Who went there to save you?" "I was just passing by. It was nothing. I didn't go there on purpose." I was already used to Sumuksu saying one thing and meaning another. The more flustered he got, the more I knew he didn't mean it. I held back my laughter and patiently played along. Then I was wrong. Even if it was nothing, you still saved me. Thank you. Sumuksu suddenly felt oddly pampered. His pride and embarrassment collided. He raised his chin, blushed, and said, "As long as you know." After applying the ointment on Sumuksu, I got ready to leave. Just as I turned to walk out of the room, Sumuksu remembered something. He suddenly called out, "Wait a second." I turned back, seriously looking at him. That gaze made Sumuksu feel like I had a crush on him. Realizing this thought, Sumuksu felt he was being shameless. He softly said, "About Mangbin da. Don't hang around Mangbin too much," he said. "He loves stirring up trouble. If you keep being around him, it'll cause problems." I knew Sumuksu was just worried about me. I smiled and said, "Don't worry. I'll be fine. I'm friends with Mangbin." But I didn't say whether I'd keep hanging out with him. Still, the answer was obvious. After I left, Sumuksu's beautiful face turned gloomy. Lady Sumuksu, after finishing her homework, lay down on the bed. She saw a screenshot sent by Yang Yuji. It was a post from a student on the school forum. The photo was taken on a basketball court, and the people in the picture were me and Mangbin. Under the sunset glow, the girl looked fair and beautiful, and the boy handsome and charming. The two stood a meter apart, gazing at each other affectionately. Sumuksu sensed a hint of romance. Her delicate face showed a tinge of coldness. She simply put down her phone, pulled up the covers, and went to sleep. Meanwhile, I was chatting with Mangbin. We had added each other on WeChat. Because of his amazing gaming skills, he was given special permission by the team to skip daily training. He only needed to train with teammates on weekends. He used to be a core player of the team, but for some unknown reason, he left. I was asked by the gods to persuade Mangbin to return to the team, but I didn't push the topic. If he's still a student, his main job should be studying. But he didn't seem very happy. What I really wanted to know was why he felt that way. Mangbin was tight-lipped. We chatted for a while, but I didn't get any useful info, so I couldn't help him much. After saying goodnight to Mangbin, I thought of Sumuksu's puffed-up expression whenever she mentioned him. It made me feel like a jealous little thing was sulking. I needed to properly comfort him. The next day was the weekend. Sumuksu woke up early. After washing up and coming downstairs, she smelled something delicious. It wasn't a smell Aunt Liu could make. Sumuksu immediately guessed it was from my cooking. In the kitchen, Aunt Sue was circling around me like a kid, muttering nonstop in amazement, "Wow, incredible. You're amazing. Everything you make tastes so good." She had a soup dumpling stuffed in her mouth, mumbling unclearly while talking. Seeing how much Aunt Sue liked it, I smiled gently and said, "If you like it, Annie, I'll cook for you whenever I have time." Aunt Sue nodded happily. "Really, that's great." Aunt Sue had the mindset of a child. She loved my food so much that she had already started thinking about marrying Sumuksu off to me. Sumuksu stood by the door, watching the happy scene in the kitchen. I was bringing dishes to the table, and Sumuksu's gaze subtly lingered on me. Noticing her own curiosity, she quickly looked away. My looks basically fit the universal standard for attractiveness. Sumuksu touched her still steady heartbeat, thinking maybe it wasn't love, just a normal reaction to a handsome guy. She had just calmed herself mentally when she heard me call from behind, "Sumuksu." She reacted too quickly, her voice raising as she answered stiffly. I pointed to a basket of shiny, delicate soup dumplings. "Annie said you love these, and I happen to know how to make them. Give it a try." Sumuksu stiffened her expression. "Just because you say so, I should try them? That would make me look like I've got no dignity." But in the end, she still awkwardly reached out and picked up a steaming dumpling, stuffing it quickly into her mouth. It was really hot. She couldn't control her expression from the heat, but still turned around coldly a moment later. Maybe I should have helped her try it. Instead of letting her grab it with her bare hand, I quickly put down the serving tray, grabbed a napkin, and rushed over to him. "Sumuksu, spit it out quickly. It's too hot." Sumuksu stared at me blankly and shook his head. Seeing his serious face, I realized he didn't want to embarrass himself in front of me. I smiled helplessly. "Okay, I'll turn around. I won't look. Just spit it out quickly. It's hot. Don't burn your mouth." I turned around to face away from him. Sumuksu couldn't hold it anymore. He opened his mouth and spit the soup dumpling into the trash can, then fanned his mouth frantically. While we ate, I kept using the serving chopsticks to pick food for Sumuksu. "Sumuksu, try this." Sumuksu's ears turned red from hearing that. She just kept her head down and ate. Aunt Sue watched from the side, beaming with joy. There's hope for this childhood match. An awkward but happy breakfast came to an end. I was about to go back to my room to do exercises. Then my phone buzzed once, then buzzed again and again. It was messages from a group chat, in the group called Pretty Girls Group. Song Meng Meng tagged everyone. "Girls, the haunted house at Sunshine Amusement Park just added even scarier features. Want to go check it out together?" Yang Yuji was the first to reply, "Of course. Why not? Gong Wanru and I happened to be nearby." I had a feeling they forgot I was in the group too. Just as I thought that, Song Meng Meng tagged me directly. "Hey, Jiu-chan, bring Sumuksu and come with us." I figured I'd be bored at home anyway. Might as well go have some fun. I nodded and replied, "Sure," then went to knock on Sumuksu's door. Hearing the knock, Sumuksu immediately froze. I stood at the door and saw her come open it. The tips of her ears were red, and she smiled brightly. "Let's go. Sumuksu, let's go have some fun." Sumuksu and I, handsome guy and beautiful girl. The moment we stepped into the amusement park, we immediately caught the attention of many passers-by. Song Meng Meng and Yang Yuji had already arrived early. When I saw them, I waved at the two of them. Song Meng Meng wanted to do something thrilling today. Before going into the haunted house, she suggested, "Why don't we ride the roller coaster first?" I instinctively glanced at Sumuksu. If I remember correctly, Sumuksu is afraid of heights. When she heard Song Meng Meng say roller coaster, her heart suddenly jumped. Noticing my glance, she coldly tossed out, full of pride, "You don't think I'm scared, do you?" I raised an eyebrow. "Isn't that exactly what I think? This little thing is really all about saving face and suffering for it, I guess." Song Meng Meng and the others never knew she was afraid of heights because she's so good at pretending. I smiled. "Of course not. How could I think that? I'm the one who's a little scared." Hearing that, Sumuksu looked like she had just found a good excuse. She was just about to say, "All right then, I'll stay here with you." But Song Meng cut in. It's fine. Jiu-chan, you're going up anyway. Sit next to me. I'll give you courage. I saw the panicked look on Sumuksu's face and couldn't help laughing out loud. For a moment, Sumuksu stared at me, dazed. Then she realized I might have seen through her fear. She immediately straightened her back, shot a glance at Song Meng, and said coldly, "If we're doing this, hurry up. Don't waste time." With her long legs, she walked quickly, but elegantly. I didn't even have time to stop her. She was already at the ticket booth. I quickly followed her, to prove she wasn't afraid. Sumuksu deliberately sat in the front row and pulled me to sit there too.